So I started in Campari, spent nearly 20 years there, the vast majority here in the US, heading the marketing department. And I'm very fond of this picture because this is the original team that created Espolon. And our distiller, who unfortunately passed away because of COVID last year, but he's there as well. And this was back in 2010, a brand that is heading to 1 million cases. So I left a company and a brand that I created with a great team that became very iconic and definitely a cult brand to create my own Espolon in a certain sense. And I started very naively thinking, well, I did it at Campari, I should be able to do it also by myself. And so the whole journey actually started in Bakersfield, Central California, farm town. A friend of mine, he's a farmer, potato farmer, one of the biggest potato farmer, but as remote as possible from our business. And but he always wanted to do a vodka for himself, kind of, as a little pleasure. How many people have we met in the industry, or sorry, outside the industry, who think in the end, oh, I want to do my own spirit. Oh, that's easy. Yeah, good luck. So that's where I came in. I told him, listen, I have some spare time. I can help you out. Let's see. Little did I know that I would have been fully engaged with a whole different operation, which takes us to Eugene, Oregon, Pacific Northwest. Rainy, cold, muggy, but phenomenal place for craft, for authenticity, and for people who want to make things happen. So really inspired by that. We decided to pick Eugene as the spot for our new vodka brand. And then we decided, rather than go and buy from the market neutral grain spirits, is like, let's create our own story, invest some money, and build a distillery. So we went to Eugene. We discovered, obviously, the town of Eugene and what was available. And we realized, wow, the rents are so cheap. Yeah, of course. That's the kind of place you get. And that's actually a laundromat that was shutting down. And we said, well, worst case, we have a PR story. Best case, this could actually work as a distillery. So now you see it, top-level equipment. I won't shy. It's nearly $1 million investment behind it. But the majority went on equipment. Nothing went on the building, as you can probably imagine. So, and then we got another friend on board who had no clue what to do. One with his life, and definitely not to do vodka. And we told him, listen, go online, you'll figure it out. We'll give you 6 months while we build a distillery, and then you'll be our distiller. And that's Mr. Ben and our official CEO, who's our Mr. Pickles, who's our phenomenal owner there. So we basically, what we did to create this brand is rally people who agreed and wanted to have fun, but at the same time are taking this seriously. So this guy moved from San Diego to Eugene, Oregon. And he knew where he was going, but you understand a bit the challenge he went through. So we created a brand. I'm responsible for the marketing, so this is the part I enjoy, packaging, right? So this is the thing marketers love to do. They could spend a lot of money, but also a lot of time in doing this. So I created a bottle, unique bottle. I went black because I think Americans know that vodka is clear, so I don't think they need to see the purity. So I went black bottle, and I started telling the story of our journey, the people behind the brand, and I displayed it on the label. Espolon went the same way. I like for packaging to do two things, one of the two, either make a statement or tell a story. And in this case, it's really about telling a story. And obviously the brand name is our journey. So you can be clearer than that. So everything has a meaning so that I could tell a story. Now, this was investment in time, a bit in money, and we still hadn't sold a bottle. We had bought for $1 million of equipment. So we were still pretty under, but excited, motivated that we were going somewhere. And we created a brand, and this is one advice I give you if you engage with marketers or if there's marketers here, is don't get too bogged into data and analyzing stuff. Observe what's happening, because in the end, it's way more important to put that bottle on the shelf and fast on the shelf than having your perfect bottle, because that's what counts. Because once it's out there, your perfect bottle, you will change it anyway. It's in the DNA of a marketer. They have to change things. So So this is the world we created. It's really the world that actually exists in the Pacific Northwest. And we wanted this to come out from the brand. And again, it's about observing. It's not about creating new categories or doing fancy marketing stuff. It's really just looking where we are and being honest and transparent with consumers. We are a Pacific Northwest, and this is the Pacific Northwest. So brand is out. Finally, I have an agreement with the distributor. And till this point, it's still 3 of us. Ben, my potato guy, I like to call him like that, and me. But the potato guy is only running potatoes, by the way. He's just helping me and put some money in the business. And he's obviously a good friend. That helps. So then I'm another group of friends. Takes you a whole different part of the world. Finland, Scandinavia, purity, all the beauty that Scandinavia means. And with these group of friends, they had registered a trademark, which is called Tom of Finland, and they wanted to find a partner in the US. So I raised my hand and I said, it's a vodka brand, ideally. I don't want to have 2 vodkas in the same portfolio, but because the brand has a unique story, I very briefly mentioned here, I thought it complements well what I want this company to represent, i.e. the most iconic packaging and true authentic story that represent a lifestyle. So we created a brand which is called Tom of Finland. Now, Tom of Finland is not the guy you see on the bottle. That's not Freddie Mercury either. That's actually the partner, the boyfriend of Tom of Finland. Tom of Finland, he passed away at the end of the 90s. He basically revolutionized the world of art, masculine art, and ultimately, more important, gay and gay pride. Pride in the sense of men being happy and proud of their choices in life. And the man moved away from Finland because homosexuality wasn't allowed in Finland back in the 50s and 60s. So to express his freedom, he moved to LA, created a foundation, and still used his art to push the need for freedom and equality for the gay community. And people like Freddie Mercury really embraced his art, and that's why you think that's Freddie Mercury, because that's actually a piece of art from Tom of Finland. We put it in a beautiful bottle, produced in Finland, the purest water you can imagine, a touch of rye, organic, all the great stuff that is required to really get a phenomenal product out there, great story, authentic packaging. And this, just to give you a sense of the vibe of the brand, it's very easy to activate. Unfortunately, the pandemic kind of shut down our activations. No gay prides for nearly 2 years, pretty much. But before, in 2019, we were actually able to really create a story. And this is the only, and I respect all the competitors, really big respect for them. This is really the only genuine, authentic vodka for the LGBT community, because it's made for them. So here we are in Finland. The guy next to me with the beard is, well, there are 2 of them, all of them, except me. Well, anyway, next to me is Brian, potato guy, and then the 2 Finnish partners. We are there enjoying a view of the lake, signing the contract, and I receive a call from Southern Wine and Spirits, Southern Glazer. We all know them. And they are telling me that they're going to order 100 cases of the vodka, but that's it. Because right now, they really don't have time for me. And I know all the guys there, believe me, 15 years talking to them from the marketing side. And so here I am, August 2018, we are down by 1.5 million, probably, and we sold 100 cases. No need to do the forecast at this point, right? So what am I going to do? Well, it just happened that August, a brand called Beso de Sol, who created a bit the sangria category in the US, and the founders, one of them was actually one of the salespeople when I worked at Campari. I knew very well. Me and him were probably the only marketing and sales guys who could actually interact without throwing knives or doing something like that. So when he sold, I called him and I said, hey, Brad, I need some advice. I was just asking for advice. I wasn't asking. And he said, well, I may be interested. I'm bored. I sold my company. I may be interested in joining you. And I told him, well, I don't have the money to hire you. So what shall we do there? He said, well, let's compromise and meet somewhere in the middle. And second learning is don't spend your money in nice packaging or fancy research and all that too much, and focus on the things that can deliver revenue. Because as a startup, you really need the money to float, the money to survive. So the decision here was either we shut down, we call it a day and goodbye, or we put a bit more money in, dilute my share, which I'll take it, because if you own 100%, you own 100% of a bankrupt company. That's all your liability. Better to own a bit less, but seeing the company grow, obviously. So I brought in a sales guy, and in less than a year, these two brands, one I created, one that I brought proudly here in the US, are available pretty much in all these stores. And again, I look backwards and I'm like, I don't know how this happened. Obviously, you need a lot of luck, but I always think that the harder you work, the luckier you get. So that worked out pretty well. And just to give you a sense, this is the kind of distribution. It's not just one bottle here, one bottle there. Now the challenge becomes getting rotation. And that's a marketing challenge. That's the best thing you can offer a marketer. Okay, now I get excited. Now that's my job. So this is, again, a story of saying you're always on the brink of thinking of failing. Make your decision quickly. If you want to shut down, shut it down, move on, play golf. If you want to keep going, you have to be fully committed to it. So now what? Well, now the reality was we wanted to do a bourbon. And this, again, take you through my thinking on how I get to create brands. I don't do market research. I don't go around and ask you guys, hey, what do you think about bourbon? Tell me about bourbon. No, I don't need to hear it from you. I don't need to hear it from anyone. I need to observe. If I see how you guys interact, if I look at market data and I see, okay, this is going up, what's happening in a cultural context? Because we don't consume goods in a vacuum. Rarely we do. And in spirits, for sure, we don't. So things that were happening, and this was pre-pandemic. The division that we have here in this country, even bigger now. There's anger out there. The confusion, especially in the young generation. Just imagine growing up in the last 3 years. You really must be thinking, what the hell is going on here? And now, obviously, we have to deal with what we have to deal. Another thing I was observing is I'm a big sport guy. I hate the gym. I really like outdoor. But when I have to, I go to the gym. And I was noticing all these people punching bags, moving ropes, shifting weights from one part of the gym to the other. First, I thought an alien comes to the earth and wonders, what the hell is going on? They're doing the same thing, producing zero and delivering nothing. But I was noticing all this thing, and I really noticed that there was a bit of a rise in boxing or everything associated to martial arts. And I'm not talking people going on a UFC octagon and beating the hell out of each other. I'm talking about just people going to the gym, working in the office every day, and then going to the gym and punching a bag. And I thought, wow, that's so weird, because the boxing as a sport is pretty much suffering a lot, because name me one big boxer, not UFC guy, boxer. Nobody knows. I mean, we all remember Mike Tyson probably. So that inspired me of thinking, well, I have a very confused generation, angry, and there's this sport going on, and I want to do a bourbon, which is very American. Maybe I can combine everything and put it together. One other thing is that I really noticed how this went across generations and across ethnicities and across genders. So I thought, here we're hitting a cool spot. Let's see if we can create a brand out of all this story. This is the kind of lifestyle which, except Mike Tyson, everything else is people we probably know. Well, we know Mike Tyson, but hopefully not personally. Would be scary. Places, this is also the boxing community, the martial arts community. It's really all those secondary cities, Philadelphia, Chicago, Minneapolis. These are cities where really you get that community very, very strong. So we created a brand. We called it Puncher's Chance. So what is Puncher's Chance? That's exactly what we are all here hoping for. We are all underdogs. We hope that with one punch, we can make it. And I will never forget 1995, Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson knocked out Buster Douglas before in that same fight. But round 10, I think, one punch changed the course of one man's career and probably a whole history for the sport. So we called it Puncher's Chance for the exact reason that Wolf Spirit, we are the underdog, and we are there thinking, believing, strongly believing that we'll make it. one punch is needed. And we thought, I really believe in this country and its opportunity of fighting for what you believe in. I was born and raised in Italy. I moved here 20 years ago. Became American citizen with that belief. And so I thought, Puncher's Chance is about believing. Bourbon is an American tradition. Fighting for what you believe in is such an American, important American quality. Combine all that and put it in a nice bottle and have a great packaging, a great liquid, and then we have a story to tell. We partnered, because then the question is, where do you find bourbon? Where do you find Kentucky straight bourbon? Where do you find it at a good price and enough volume that you can go national? Because that's really our objective, is not to focus on 3-4 markets. We want to sell nationally. You saw the grocery, the retail that we go through. So we partner with a company called IJW. They've been flying under the radar. They have 5 warehouses. That equates to approximately 100,000 barrels. You know how much a barrel contains in bourbon, approximately. You can easily make the calculations. They have enough liquid for me to do my job very easily. So we partner with them. Great liquid, 90 proof, made it strong enough but not overpowering, and drinkable. This is a brand for everyone. We are not going high end. We'll have high-end versions of it, but our purpose is really bring bourbon to the masses. And we create a fancy bottle. The packaging side, so again, I went a bit more black, but transparent bottom so that you can see the liquid, obviously. A lot of fancy cues. Tiger is obviously the understated symbol within the boxing community and overall MMA. So again, fancy packaging, but this was only time spent on my end in observing what was going on. I didn't engage any agency, any research. I didn't buy any research out there. And I'm not saying this is the way you should go. I'm just sharing how I did it. And hopefully it's paying off. And then we brought in actually a friend of ours who reached out because he wanted to be involved in spirits. He saw what Conor McGregor was doing. So he's like, let's do something together. And I thought, yeah, why not? He's the voice of the octagon. The guy's is unbelievably fun guy. Second, he's impartial. So I don't have to get like, oh, I'm with this guy, then I have all the guys who don't like him who are going to be against me. He's just a fun guy that people love. And the trade goes nuts. When they hear him, he's been on every call with the salespeople in every market we launched the brand. And they couldn't care less what I said, believe me. I mean, they were all about this guy. So again, similar that you saw before, big push on sales, and now the marketing comes over. Get that distribution, get that revenue coming in. Because if you spend that money marketing, that will be totally lost. That's a waste of time and money. And believe me, I'm a marketer, so it bleeds when I say that. It really hurts. And then the world changed. So we were so excited. January 2020, incredible ambitions, ready to launch Puncher's Chance. We hadn't launched it yet, but everything was lined up. And the world changed. So what do you do there? In our situation, we were lucky of one thing. The salespeople I brought in, 3 in the end, at the beginning, they were retail focused because my strategy of going craft produced 100 cases. So that it's not viable. It's phenomenal. For a marketer to go to bartenders and tell your story, they love. I could spend 5 hours with them talking about this. They're going to order 1 bottle, 2 bottles, you're lucky, 3 bottles, you stroke go. You talk to Publix, you talk to, you know them all, Albertsons. They don't care your story. They want a sell sheet. They'll order a pallet. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, yeah, fine. Let's go with these guys and focus on the on-premise later. The problem is the on-premise never happened. So, or at least didn't happen for a while. So the only way in crisis that we survived is that's where your team is very important. Because we all united together and we said, okay, no more salaries for a few months. Let's see what happens. Be very careful with our cash and keep bothering the distributor. Go straight to the retailer and try to do something that the big players, as much as I respect them, are not able to do, because I wasn't able to do at Campari, is react quickly. If a salesperson, meaning from the distributor side, or a retail say, hey, I have a gap this weekend, I need to do a tasting, can somebody come over? I'm like, I'll fly wherever. Jacksonville? Oh, yeah, next to me. I live in San Francisco, by the way. So there I am, I'm doing tasting. 55, 65-year-old grandma asking me, who is this man on the bottle? I'm like, it's Tom of Finland. You have to do it. 1, for the woman. She bought the bottle. So that's money that's coming ultimately to you. And two, because you're showing to the distributor you're a meaningful partner, making their life easier. To the point where in pandemic, we planned our mezcal. So this is launching literally now in a handful of states to start with. But you see how the situation from a moment of bankruptcy, sort of, to then through the pandemic, managing our cash, we are back, people are back on salaries. And now we did another round of investment. We followed the guidelines. We're very, very to the point mentioned before. And we kept it very close, but enough funds to bring the company to a healthier position. It doesn't mean, it's still, I don't wake up thinking, oh, am I going to shut down? I don't do that. But you're moving 30 days always. You're always 30 days from bankruptcy when you're a startup. Don't just not scare you, because if you think that you're also 30 days from achieving maybe what you always wanted, then you probably get overwhelmed by the passion, less by the risk. And so this is our portfolio now. I left in January 2017. Here we are, 2021. Let's call last year, nothing happened. It still takes a while. It still takes time. Be patient, because you hear of success stories from the Casamigos to the Titos. There's no immediate success story. And the ones which are short, probably Casamigos is the best example. The people behind the faces were people who knew exactly what they were doing. And then they got lucky. But again, you get lucky, work hard, you'll be lucky. So that, obviously open to questions afterwards. Try to keep it quick, and hopefully you got some information. Thank you.